Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time and welcome to my show. In this video, I'll give you the latest status of the negotiations, or the gridlock if you will, between House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on one side and the administration on the other side. Both sides are holding firm. In fact, if anything, both sides took new shots at each other today. And what was actually a little bit controversial today was that Twitter actually labeled and characterized one of the tweets from the president as being, I quote, violating Twitter rules about civic and election integrity. However, Twitter did decide to keep the post online because it may be in the public's interest for it to remain accessible. The president tweeted, and I quote, "So now the Democrats are using mail drop boxes, which are a voter security disaster. Among other things, they make it possible for a person to vote multiple times. Also, who controls them? Are they placed in Republican or Democratic areas? They are not COVID sanitized. A big fraud." Wow. Okay, so House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in the meantime continue to take shots at each other. Here's what the House Speaker here, and in fact, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows is also involved in this back and forth. All the information I'm giving you came out in the last few hours. As you know, the House did indeed pass the $25 billion in emergency funding yesterday for the United States Postal Service. And what House Speaker Pelosi said today to CNN's Jake Tapper is the public is demanding action on this now. I can't see how the Senate can avoid it unless they do so at their own peril. And White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, however, immediately dismissed this position from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Fox News Sunday, and he said it was, I quote, a largely messaging bill that's going absolutely nowhere. I mean, think about this. The House comes back to vote on something that the Senate has no interest in. I mean, at this point, this is a bit of a parody, if anything. And the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said, hopefully what will happen is the Republican senators will take this bill when it comes across. They'll amend it and actually address many of the things that are hurting America right now in terms of the pandemic response and be able to get it to the president's desk. So I thought that was an interesting comment because, obviously the Republicans do not want something that's just focused on the post office. They want something that includes stimulus negotiations, and so do the Democrats. But the Democrats want something that is much more comprehensive and that includes aid for state and local government. So there are significantly opposing views, as you can see. And White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows did say he went to Pelosi's office on Saturday but was unable to meet with her. So I think that's worth noting. And he said he will call he will call House Speaker Nancy Pelosi on Sunday. So today, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows is going to call House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and they'll talk. And Meadows did say that the House bill is not serious because it does not address the post office's long-term sustainability. And he said on ABC's This Week, this is what he said: "My conversations with a lot of the Democrats on Capitol Hill yesterday, as if you want to be if you want to be serious about it, the president is willing to put forth money and reforms, but let's attach it to something else since we've got so many people hurting." You can see that there have been a lot of overtures from the administration side, from Mark Meadows' side, from Steven Mnuchin's side. Even the president said, hey, let's do a deal. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has also said we can do something and we must. And House Speaker Pelosi has been open to something, but the Democrats want something comprehensive, and the Republicans want to essentially approach one issue at a time. Now, the federal unemployment benefit extension is one big issue, and the stimulus check is the other issue. But funding for state and local governments is a significant issue as far as the Democrats are concerned, because states are indeed running out of money, which is why a majority of the states, when I say a majority, I mean more than 45 states at the time I'm recording this, are only going to pay the $300 a week booster, and many of those 46 states haven't even submitted their application yet. So it seems like very few individuals are going to be getting the full $400 a week. Even Arizona, which is a state that started paying the federal booster, is only paying $300 a week, not the full $400. And this is what Meadows told Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace. The speaker said she wasn't willing to do anything piecemeal, and yet we have a piecemeal piece of legislation on a Saturday. And that's what White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows said. And he added, my challenge to the speaker this morning would be this: if we agree on 5 or 6 things, let's go ahead and pass those. That's what Mark Meadows said. And he said, I spoke to the president early this morning. So this, by the way, is today. So White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows spoke with the president earlier today, and he's going to be calling House Speaker Nancy Pelosi today. So because keep in mind, if something doesn't happen within the next couple of days, there's a high chance this could get postponed for weeks up until the end of September, where the two sides again have to talk about funding for the government, and that would not be good if this got postponed further. So he said, I spoke to the president early this morning. He's willing to sign that, including postal service reform. Now this is significant. Now I don't know what postal service reform is when you look at Meadows' definition, but it seems like the president would be willing to sign some money would be willing to sign a bill containing some money for the United States Postal Service, as long as it included money for people. Now you have to keep in mind that the president's executive orders do not include any stimulus checks. They do include $400 a week, which is in effect $300 a week. I've covered that elsewhere on my channel, but the implementation of that has been chaotic, to put it mildly. So in my opinion, the president's executive orders from a practical standpoint have only bought some time for the two sides to come to a consensus. The president's executive orders are in no way, shape or form a permanent solution. Again, whatever your political views are, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that this money, if you look at the actual numbers, $45 billion spread out to millions and millions of people, is going to run out in 5, maybe 6 weeks. And some states might not even get the funding, because if states are late to apply, the money could run out, right? So this executive action about the unemployment boosters from the president politically and factually bought some time. But legislation with Congress is the only solution, and it is where we need to be. And that is why the White House Chief of Staff is pressuring House Speaker Nancy Pelosi to come to the table. And the House Speaker is willing to come to the table as long as the Democrats get more than what the Republicans are offering. That's where the gridlock is. But again, the more I analyze this situation, the more I realize that the two sides have to come to a deal. Somebody has to budge, somebody has to give. Because it is inconceivable that this delay would continue. And I know my viewers and subscribers have already lost faith, if you will, with this process, but it's not over yet. It's not over yet, let's put it that way. And so he said he's willing to sign that, including postal service reform, and making sure that the money is there to make sure that deliveries of first class mail are handled quickly, efficiently and on time. And as you can expect, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi considered White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows' overtures as, and I quote, bare leaves. By the way, the House Speaker is 80 years old. I don't know if you guys knew that. Incredible. So she criticized the fact that he didn't mention any policies addressing children facing food insecurity, which is a big priority for the Democrats, families on the verge of eviction, who by the way were not helped as by the executive order, which was basically a bunch of suggestions, illness testing and treatment, or money for state and local government. She said, and I quote, what they want to do is not the right path. All the president wants is this one thing. He wants his name on the letter to go out with a check in it, and he doesn't care about the rest of it. Oh Lordy. Can you believe that? So I'll repeat what she said. He wants his name on the letter to go out with a check in it, and he doesn't care about the rest of it. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi also noted that it had been 100 days since the House Democrats passed the HEROES Act, and she said in that span more than 4 million Americans had been infected with the illness, and more than and in that time period since they introduced the HEROES Act, more than 80,000 individuals had died. The total number is inching closer now to 200,000 at the time I'm recording this video. But since they passed the HEROES Act, over 4 million individuals got the illness, and over 80,000 individuals died. Could we have saved all of those lives and those diagnoses? Not all, but many. And she said, and this is the big one, guys. I mean, buckle up for this. She said, so again, when we go to putting money into people's pockets, as the president wants to do with that letter, we have to do so not in a bread and circuses way. I'm going to give you this, but I'm not going to give you anything else. This is like ancient Rome. Trump fiddles while America burns. Ooh, wow. Trump fiddles while America burns, and Trump gives bread and circuses without the bread. So we'll see the circus this week with his convention. Oh Lord. Okay. That is where things stand right now, everybody. That is the current state of the gridlock, if you will, between the two sides. You can see that both sides are staying firm. One of my favorite books is a book by Robert Cialdini. He's a psychologist, and he wrote a book called Influence. And in his book, one of his attributes was consistency is the key to power. Now, in this situation, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is staying consistent with her position. The administration is also staying consistent with their position. Therein lies their power, and them budging, either side budging, creates political weakness, creates ideological weakness, if you will. But something has to give. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. Check out my video on our channel where you can learn more about how I was able to live my American dream and how I can help you live the American dream. If you did learn something new from this video, please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm and it helps me personally as well. I would really appreciate that. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week, so make sure you subscribe and you enable notifications so you get those instant updates. And also, if you want to get alerts from us, get your cell phone out, type out a text message with the word ignition or with the word time and send that over to 70,000, that's 70000, and you'll get added to our SMS list. And you can also get emails from us and you can opt out of the emails at any time that you want. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, bye.